What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Well That Sucked. I'm your host, Ian Hilton. Guess what? I got a special guest on today, Mr. Ryan Frazier. Give it up! Oh, I don't have it connected.
I thought that was was that a clap? Was it supposed to be? Clap. Just two claps?
No. Before we can even get started, so, my buddy Paul, he helped me with my website. I don't know, I can't remember what website he uses, but it's fucking awesome. He is super knowledgeable about what he does and how he works with different customers in his business, and he knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing with his setup with your website. You can call him anytime. He'll help you with any question that you have. His customer service is through the fucking roof. And if you want to contact him, it is contact@teamwireframe.com. I'll spell it out for you. It is CONTACT at, the little at, circle thing. Team, which is TEAM, wire, WIRE, frame, FRAME.com. You got that right? Alright. So, what's up, man?
Dude, just hanging out.
Yeah?
Very much hanging out.
You've been super busy. Like, really busy.
Busy. Dude,
you're working, you're going to school full time, like...
Yeah.
How do you fucking do it?
Just poor coping mechanisms, just like not sleeping at the right time, sleeping at inappropriate times.
Yeah.
I don't know, not necessarily being as engaging in my regular life that I should be.
Yeah. So you work nights though, right?
I work overnight, so I work like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and it's...
Jeez, yeah, 12-hour shifts. And that's what, 4 a day? 4
days? Three usually, depends on like the patients and stuff.
In a row?
I try to do it in a row. I try to do like 3 in a row because if you try to break it up, you never switch your clock back on your days off. Like, it's only 6:20 right now, and I would just be waking up if I was like not switched. Yeah.
So what do you mean by like depending on the patient? Do you have like a special like if you're working with a patient fucking one drink down and I'm fucking lit. One patient, and so since you've been with this patient, you kind of have to be on call with them, or
no, not necessarily. It's like, so the patient group that I work with, they're sick. Mm-hmm. So if there's somebody in the hospital who gets sick enough to require this stuff that I do, then I would come in on my day off to sit with that patient.
Right, because you know exactly what's going on with them.
Yeah, and there's only like a few people who are trained to do like what I do in the hospital. So
what do you do?
So my position right now, I'm a critical care nurse. So that's what we do in the area that was like pretty much hearts and stuff.
Yeah, and you went to school for that, right?
I went to school for nursing.
Okay.
And then after that, I went and like kind of worked in the unit, and then you become specialized and get experience in it and get all your competencies and stuff. And then I work. Then I have a training for a device called ECMO, and that kind of just helps support hearts and lungs on patients that have a need for it.
Now, and you were explaining to me like how you can do it. Like, so people are dying, you can find a vein, or you can find the heart from the front and back of the body, or how did that work?
Oh, like how the machine works?
Right.
So essentially, how it works in some cases, or in certain instances, you can either support the lungs or the heart and the lungs. So, for instance, if someone's lungs are terrible, they're not working enough, even with the support of a ventilator and stuff, you can take it's like a big IV called a cannula,
right?
And you plug it into the vasculature on the right side of the heart, and that'll allow blood to flow through that vein and through a kind of small device for what it actually does.
Right.
That'll help oxygenate blood and exchange gas, and then it delivers it back to the body.
No, okay.
So it's pretty cool. It's something that I enjoy working with. It's something that I believe in. It
sounds like you and like a handful of people only know that.
Well, where I work, it's primarily run by a perfusionist.
Right.
Like they run the heart and bypass machines in the operating rooms and stuff above heart surgery. And then it's kind of like a scaled down version of it that's able to be implemented at bedside for nursing. So within the hospital I work at.
So what was like the most craziest operation you had to do or involved in?
So I don't participate in operations essentially. I take them like post-surgically. It's hard to say like the weirdest day, like because I worked in the ER for a while, so that's just a whole other barrel of monkeys.
Right.
But like the craziest day, I don't know, and it's hard when you ask people who work in this profession like, what's your craziest day, like what's your scariest moment or whatever, because it's like literally like you find these weird things that happen day in and day out, and like I don't know, they can be career changing, but then like the next day you have something it's like equally as fucked up, and then you forget all about the day before.
Right.
So it's hard to say. There's been quite a few times like where it's like a coming of age story in your career, like when you're a nurse, where you have those moments where it's like kind of changes your practice and how you do things from that point forward. But I can't remember.
I imagine it's probably been a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things that are just like, wow, that was insane, or like moments you share with your patients are like, shit, like this is what it's.
Your life.
This is not even that. Yeah, you're welcome. No.
Yeah. Bitch.
Yeah. No, not even that, but like just things that you experience, or you're like, this is what it's all about. This is one of those things where it's like, that's real.
Yeah.
Well, so I can't point out anything. I'm still pretty young in my career on the continuum of nursing.
Right.
But it's
how long have you been doing it?
I've been working. So I've been an RN. I've been out of nursing school for like almost three and a half years now, almost.
Right.
Getting up there. People would laugh at 3 years of nursing experience. And then, but before that, while I was in school, for like the 3 years that school was happening, I worked in the ER as a tech and stuff, so got a lot of exposure to healthcare and, what that means at that point. It's exciting though. I mean, it's a cool job. It's stressful. It kills you. It makes you think all the time. You kind of pour your heart and soul into it. It's cool. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, I worked in the music and stuff before, and
oh my God, that's right. So for y'all that don't know, I've known Ryan for probably since 2009.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
My first years of college. Probably fresh out of high school.
Yeah, and he used to manage bands, right?
I used to manage a venue. I used to manage bands.
And this is like you coming right out of high school, but like bands like we knew about.
Yeah, like bands like you, I'd book bands you fucking knew.
Yeah.
So that was coming into that was just a weird one-off thing that I've never heard of anybody really doing. Mm-hmm. So I got that kind of experience or exposure to it when my mom's best friend, Karen Capone now, her dad owned this bar, like a shitty bar off Forsyth. What was it called? It was called Island Oasis.
Okay.
And if you've ever been there, you know that like it's like a little shithole, but God, it's fucking home, and I miss it, and I would give anything to have another one.
Right.
Like, give anything. Like, if I could chop an arm off, as long as I get my own venue back.
Right. Damn, it's pretty loud. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out.
Looking hot.
Coming in hot. So
I guess they would do concerts and shit there, and they had this, I don't know, some fucking douchebag, I'm sure, who would book all the shows for the venue, and I guess he up and quit one day, and he had lined up shows, you line up shows for months at a time.
Yeah.
So I guess after he just up and left, there were still bands who were doing shows, who had shows scheduled.
Right.
So I was 16. Actually, no, I was 15 because I wasn't driving yet, so I was 15.
Right.
While I was driving around the neighborhood, low key, cool guy, 15-year-old going to your neighbor's house.
You had your old, what was that, Miata?
That was
Miata?
No, at that time I had a Celica.
Oh, okay.
I had a Toyota Celica.
Yeah.
So Karen was like, hey, I have to go open this bar and let bands play and or whatever. Do you want to take tickets at the door?
Right.
I was like, yeah, I like music.
Yeah.
At that point I was already, I was in high school, so at that time I was listening to fucking ska.
Like what?
Like what?
Like what? Yeah.
I was like,
or like Catch 22, something kind of like that.
not even that. Like Less Than Jake.
Okay. Yeah.
Five Iron Frenzy. The end of its run, but like I think Anthem had just came out.
Real Big Fish.
Real Big Fish. Yeah, Anthem had just came out. Less Than Jake. I was real jazzed about that. And then of course like Blink 182 since.
Do you still like what's that album? It's all downhill from here.
Newfound Glory.
Newfound Glory. You still like Newfound Glory?
Yeah, if I pick up my guitar, I'll play hit or miss right away, no matter what. Like that's
I
like
still like them.
That's like the first thing I'll play.
Right.
Just because that chord progression is something that I learned the second I picked up a guitar. So it's like,
right.
I was like 11 when I learned that. I was in 6th grade. So like I picked that up and that's a chord progression I'll play always. Also, I'm like a huge fan of Chad Gilbert because I think he's just the coolest dude ever.
Yeah.
He has like that street legitness about him because he's so hardcore.
Yeah. So did you? I was going to ask you this. So one of my favorite bands I still listen to this day is Amur with Frankie. Did you manage that band or
no? I didn't manage the band. No, they rolled through town night for one of my shows. Back that was at like when Goodbye to the Gallows I think it was called came out.
Yeah. Great album by the way.
Right. So, and I was probably 18 then, but so we started going to the show and like the shows and like running the door and stuff, and then eventually they're like, someone came up to me and was like, well, when can we book a show again? Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know. Let me check the schedule. Like walk to the back, 16 years old, like wearing I don't know,
cowabunga hat.
Fucking cowboy hat. No, honestly, it was probably a fucking Red Sox hat with the bill up.
Right.
Fucking douchebag. And like Karen said, I don't know, like I guess through some means booked the show again. It was actually the first band. It was a band called Call for Fire. I think they're from Tallahassee. Okay. Or Gainesville. No, they're from Tallahassee because they had a song called Tal Crappy. And they were like a ska core band, and I was in this like ska at the time, and then like it was a little bit harder, a little more crunchier. And I was like, I'm fucking into this. Like I'm into that. And then started getting into my friend Eric Edwards, who's a Georgia cop now. He exposed me to like a little more hardcore stuff. Like that was like when that full like blown like metalcore thing was coming. And
this is like when we started to grow our hair out, right? And like, dude, I remember like Chris and I, and then we had like the little. You always had straight hair.
The sweep.
Chris and I, we grew out our hair. No shit. Sorry, Chris, if you listen to this, I'm calling us out on this. But we used to put grease in our hair and straighten our hair.
Yeah, I never had to straighten my hair because no.
Yeah, good for you.
Because I couldn't wear skinny jeans because I was obese. Like past tense obese, like no. Staying.
What does that mean?
Past tense. Like I talk about like I used to be obese.
Stop.
Like I got skinny and then I fell off the wagon and got fat. Like, no, stayed fat. Anyway, so like then Eric got to get me into like Poison the Well, which I fucking love. Yeah. So fucking good.
Loved Ones is still my favorite song.
Yeah, I mean, fucking I play nerdy. Actually, the first song I played was when I got that ESP guitar was Nerdy.
Nerdy, yeah.
Yeah, just because, or Blotcho or something like that. Something like that. I love that. I love that Terror from the Reb. I love that album. That's so good. And then he got me into like As I Lay Dying before that guy hired someone to murder him and went to jail.
Oh yeah. Before he get buff.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was on steroids when that happened because he was like. Probably really mad.
Yeah, work raging out, and then he has to murder his wife or something. And then he got me into, and then that was like when like emo really started on the come up. So like on like Hawthorne Heights or something on low key. Yeah. Like From Mom to Ashes, of course, and then I got into Crime and Stereo, which is my favorite band.
So when you sent me that picture of your studio, because Ryan he has his own studio in his house too, but I remember seeing that picture and I saw like a. That you had a poster in the back behind your computer saying Crime and Stereo. I didn't really know what it was.
So Crime and Stereo is a fucking like New York like hardcore. Well, they like kind of transitioned through a lot of stuff and really had like this maturation curve that like really moved into different things throughout years. And it coincidentally kind of steered my taste in music too,
Yeah.
which is cool because you can like be like a hardcore band and just like stay playing hardcore. Like you can be Terror. Like Terror plays Terror.
Right.
When Terror plays a new song, it sounds like the fucking last album, and like there was no progression.
Yeah.
Not that that's the thing that you love what you love, but
Yeah.
like Crime and Stereo like really like progressed into this and matured and talked about issues and that real people dealt with, like healthcare disparity, socioeconomic status disparities, coming from working class homes and all that kind of stuff.
So that was funny though. When you were talking about Tallahassee, Chris told me this funny fucking story that you, Tristan, and Chris went up to Tallahassee to go see
Jacksonville,
and you went to go see. Oh my God, they're
For You're Strong. I think
For You're Strong, and the band from Gainesville. Remember, they're just like super popular now. They're like
Data Remember probably.
Yeah.
They're from Ocala. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And Chris kept telling me that like you and Tristan kept like jumping in front of the front seat and started like humping the ceiling or something like that. But there was a gang there called FSU.
Yeah,
fuck shit up.
Yeah,
he told me that
like
this
crew.
Yeah, it's some crew. And this dude like went up to this. They were like fucking going at it. Like they're doing that hardcore shit. Play your arms and like dumb shit. This dude like went up to a chick and her boyfriend and like just fucking knocked this chick out.
Iced.
Really?
Yeah. Starched there. Starched.
No shit. Like
yeah. Like
no. What happened? They were just.
So like at that point, I had already been working in music for a little bit, so you kind of know when certain bands come down from North Florida, certain bands come down from Boston, wherever.
Yeah.
They bring like a little cohort with them, a crew or whatever, gang or I don't know.
Yeah.
But different circles travel together. Different people have different affiliations or whatever. And so I had loosely known about these dudes just because.
Right.
Like, you hear people. I mean, we used to have like this forum called CFL Hardcore. It was a forum of music. People would share music and stuff. It was run by some fucking dudes. But, and there would always be like, this is like the very early implementation of social media. So MySpace was the primary source of social media at this time. So
and that's the time you can like find a song and post it on your profile and like that was like your theme song.
It was fucking tight.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, if you go back on MySpace is now very well put together, and I'm bringing it back.
Yeah, bringing it back.
Bringing back MySpace.
Yeah. I actually looked at my old MySpace profile. It's me, it's skinny as fuck, 125 pounds, wearing skinny jeans, a tight little shirt, and I got this little flat bill. It's called Earth Day Birthday. You've heard of Earth Day Birthday?
I'm not a construction worker, so no, I don't subscribe to Earth Day.
It's funny because I was a construction worker. Because the only thing I listened to back in Orlando was WJR. And it was like Earth Day Birthday. I was like, yeah, Seven Dust.
Yeah, Seven Dust and fucking Nickelback and Skin Dread. Fucking
Corn. Yeah. But it's a picture of me and my buddy's. He was so rich. He had a own basketball room that was like all insulated and stuff like that. But I don't know why, but we had a fog machine down there, and it was me bent over on the wall looking at the camera like this, and the fog machine going out like by my ass like I blew a fart.
Tight.
That's really funny.
Picture in time. It's picture in time looking at stuff on MySpace. I actually I logged into my MySpace. I'm gonna say maybe a year ago, and took all the pictures that were still on there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they just fell off. Maybe there is a purge sometime.
Oh, I'm sure something.
But I downloaded a bunch of old pictures. Actually, I logged into the stuff that was on from the old Island Oasis stuff. Because I grabbed old posters because I used to make the posters for shows and stuff and for a lot of different shows. And I grabbed some of the old posters and they were like in my drive somewhere in the cloud.
Dude, I got to see this.
They're pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was getting into like these different kinds of music. Eric was helping me out because he was so angsty too. And fucking teenagers, so we're just mad at everything.
Yeah.
There's a title called MySpace Pictures. Fuck me. So during this time, like I started getting exposed. This is actually at fucking Chris's ex-girlfriend's house.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Shout out to that chick. Oh, this is that. No, that's in Oregon.
Now you pulled these off your MySpace?
No, yeah.
Oh my god!
This was that night in Jacksonville.
Okay. Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So Eric exposed me to all this music, and it was just like a fucking it. That was that night. Oh fuck. We got Chris super drunk for no reason.
Is he doing the Man of War?
Yeah, I think so. And then we would just do the DDP thing. So then I realized that some of these bands sounded like the bands that I liked.
Yeah.
And then at the time there was a couple of guys who were like, they were teenagers too. Mm-hmm. They came to some of the shows, and then they're like, well, I have a band. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, cool. What's it like? We'll check our MySpace. Oh shit, this is how people are promoting music at this time.
Right.
At least within my social group or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I opened up a MySpace for the Island Oasis. And it was back in the time where you could download or buy these little widgets that would add, because it would add like people in your area.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I met some of these dudes. I think one of the first bands I ever met or booked was a band called Alongside Oni, and that's with my friend CJ, who he's still my friend. I spoke to him because he keep pulling it.
I know. my little thing right here.
Yeah, just give it a dangle. And then they were in a band called Spare No Lives too, which is the first band I booked. I think I like Alongside Oni a little better.
Yeah.
And then I booked a band called 42 Children, and they were from like College Park. Yeah, it's like a Bible thing. I don't remember. But then I booked a band called Face Down in Blood, and I fucking loved like the vibes of this band.
I think you remember you telling me about them.
Yeah, and I still have their band T-shirt. I think it's one of the first band T-shirts I ever got.
Are they still around?
The band itself?
Yeah.
No, the band has had a couple different iterations. It came into a band called fucking Silence the Icon.
Okay.
And I kind of helped manage them for a little bit and did some of the design work and stuff. But at that point, I met a guy named Glenn Stowe, who I was in his wedding actually. And they're just the fucking coolest dudes, and they kind of made me love that music because they like would invite me over their house for after parties and shit. And I was a straight edge kid back then, like, because I loved cars. I was like really big into cars.
That's right. And
drinking didn't mix with that, so I was pretty straight laced when it came to that kind of stuff. But then
not me,
enough, right? Doing snooters. No, so I met them, and they like really made me love what I was doing because like I felt like I was a part of something awesome. Like,
well, you kind of were at that age. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was. Well, as soon as I started like booking like bigger bands, and bands that were like coming, like booking companies, like real companies, coming to me emailing either me or asking for Frazier. Yeah, because I started going by Frazier back then. Yeah. Well, I started going by Frazier like 7th grade, but then I kind of caught on, and people only knew me as Frazier. Frazier, yeah. Because my dad goes by Frazier, and I think he would kind of use that to separate.
Well, it's like such a strong name, like Frazier,
right?
Like,
it's a very
and it was a very popular TV show back in the day,
right? You know Kelsey Grammer's a scumbag.
Yeah.
So, but he would do it to kind of differentiate people who he knew in business versus people he knew in social life, and so in his personal life. So that's kind of what I started doing, just mirroring my father in that aspect. So people would asking for Frazier, people were calling the bar asking for Frazier for booking and stuff like this, and then I'd start getting contacted by larger companies, like legit companies, and they wanted contracts, and I'm like,
dude, that's crazy.
Having to look up how to do like contracts for shows, right? Like writers and payments and all this kind of shit, and I'm like,
that's nuts.
I'm like onto something here, like. Yeah. And so then...
And these are probably like grown-ass men trying to contact like a 17-year-old.
And they had no idea I was like 17 or 16. I started when I was like 15. So, when I was at the height of it, I was 19. And I've been doing it for quite a while. I think I did it for 5 years or so. Yeah. And it was like insane. Yeah. Like, it was fucking insane. Like, I was there probably 4 nights a week. I'd go work my little shitty job till like 9 o'clock, have someone open it for me, and then or whoever the bartender was would open it, or and I was like getting to work with bands that I was fucking nuts about. Yeah. Like bands that I had looked up on MySpace. Yeah. Or that I would see a t-shirt from somebody at a show, and then I'd because I had a sidekick back then. I would go like,
flip,
and I would like look up the band.
Yeah,
and then listen to them.
So going back to we were talking about those gangs, I think we kind of got sidetracked with that. Like, I was thinking like, so that chick got cold clocked, knocked the fuck out, and you were talking about like, so these bands would have this kind of clique or like this kind of clan that would kind of follow them around. Was that like just in Florida, or was that pretty much everywhere?
No, that's everywhere.
Really?
That's a lot of places. I'm not going to say everywhere. That's global.
Were they always destructive? Like, were they always just fucking young assholes?
It depends on the band.
Okay.
So they weren't even necessarily with the band. Like, I mean, for Orlando, like you would have people who that was their town. Like, Orlando's our town.
Okay.
Like,
they thought they ruled it.
So essentially, yeah. And that's fine because by and large, when you had those people around, nothing ever got it. Things can get out of hand. Mm-hmm. Like fistfights occur when you have music that's based very largely on passion. With, let's be honest, like sometimes like just angsty, angry people.
Yeah,
emotions will rise, and especially in like music like hardcore and stuff, where it can be like a toxic situation where there's a lot of male posturing, especially kids our age who are coming of age and just figuring out how to flex muscles and shit.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to fight and, showing off in front of girls and this, that, and the other.
Right.
It had the propensity to sometimes cause fistfights.
Right.
And that was just kind of what music was. It probably still is like that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, because I talked to Matt Mulford the other day. Or actually, it was like probably 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, and I remember the first time I met him, he was in a band, and I was
Lesser Ritual was the name of that band.
Fucking jealous because he was riding with Tristan. Because I don't know if I ever told you this story, but Tristan wrecked my fucking BMW.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so
not tight.
It wasn't his fault. I mean, it was technically his fault, but I was cool. We were all young, fucking dumb, full of what, and so one day we were like, Chris was like, yeah, we'll call Tristan over. We're going to have a good time. Like, anytime you call Tristan, you're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
And it probably always ends up to a police call and not getting arrested, but probably having to call your parents and explain what happened.
Having words.
Mm-hmm. Really strict word, yeah. And so what happened was I had a great idea of us, let's go down to Lockwood where there's nobody around and we can go drift. So... I don't know if you know this, but when I had that BMW, it was in 1987. Mm-hmm. The brakes worked great.
Safety first.
And so Tristan thought it was a great idea to go probably 45 to 50 around this like tight curve, and it was a nice little drifting area. But when you're 17 and you think you know how to drift, you don't know how to drift. So he's like, all right, hold on, here we go. I'm like, all right, cool, man, awesome. And we're listening to Metallica Fuel. Like, give me 5, give me 4, tell me how to fly. And we're like, yeah. And so, and we're thinking we're just badass.
Which is just like fight milk. Like,
it really is. And so he's taking this turn, and we're just sliding. It seems like for hours. He was like, and like. He was like, I see him. I look over, I see the terror in his face because he knows he fucked up. He was like, and like, started slamming the clutch and the brake, and my brakes just give out. And it's like, and we're like in a ditch. We slide right into a ditch, and it's teetering. It's that bad. We're fucking teetering.
Like the Explorer in Jurassic Park.
Yes. We're like this. And he was like, dude, Tristan kept saying, hit the brakes, man. I hit the brakes. It's like, you didn't. And so anyways... He gets my car stuck in a ditch, and he was young. I get it. He was young. So he decides to, when somebody came to pull us out, he put it, the little hitch or whatever to pull it out, he put it on where the transmission could be pulled out of socket because it was a manual. So this Ford F-150 pulls us out. I'm like, yes, I can go home. Thank God, yes. Get my car, and the stick's like this, just making circles. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I couldn't drive it. So here I am, driving up to my house in Oviedo, and with Tristan, Chris, and myself, and my dad's outside like...
Right. Mm-hmm. Dadding hard.
Yep, and he's got big Thomas mustache. And he pays a tow truck driver. It's the least he could do. And so I just told him, I was like, I swerved as a deer and I just missed it. So there's that story. So the bill to get the transmission fixed on the BMW was like $800 because it was a foreign car.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, bro, you gotta help me out. It was like $800. He was like, bro, I can't fucking pay that shit. He's like, I work at Sam's Club. I was like, I don't know what to do, man. I'm sorry. I don't know, man. But it's like, I can't pay this shit. He goes, whatever, dude. He paid me $100 and that was it.
Dude, none of us had money.
Yeah.
Then
I get it. Yeah.
But
and to go off that, when we're talking about Matt Mulford, when Tristan came up to give me the $100, he was like, "Hey, you ever heard Matt Mulford's band?" And I was thinking, I was like, "No, I didn't hear it." And dude, I was like, I remember the opening song was like really just, it was fucking heavy, and like I remember Matt was hitting the double bass like it was like he can get really really fast, and I was like,
he'll play like 64s. He'll play like 64s and not break a sweat. Like it's. Whenever I've seen him play drums, because I've seen him play drums in several bands, like he played for a long time in Wisteria, but whenever he plays drums, his feet are going a million miles an hour, and his hands are just like, they're not moving, they're just doing this.
Yeah.
Like this, but the sticks are flagging the whole time. Yes. So he's just like...
yeah. Yeah.
Ba-ting, 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 ba-ting.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. The kid's he's so talented, and
he really is. He's
like a multi-gifted person when it comes to music because he plays guitar too. I don't know if you know that. And if you've listened to some of the stuff, he's actually making music again.
Yep. He was also managing a band too. I want to say it was. He's
anything that I've ever seen him like put forth effort to. Yeah. He's absolutely gifted and talented in it. Like, almost. Oh, there's an earthquake in Savannah.
Yeah.
You guys feel that? I was like,
yeah. Hey, scoot your chair over this way. Got like half your face. Just so you know,
pull the camera over to your face.
You were very, very professional.
So yeah, he's just like so talented in how he plays music and makes music and his understanding of music theory and what sounds good together. Mm-hmm. Granted that I have a different kind of taste in music than he does because his stuff is just so dark. Like
yeah, I was about to say that.
It sounds like it's just the apocalypse. Like everything
it's satanic music.
Yeah, Satan crazy. No, but it all sounds good, and he's so smart, and like so happy to have him.
And the equipment that he uses, it sounds so good too. 'Cause I'm over here writing fucking music on my synth and my guitar, and it sounds like a 4-year-old banging on a play school fucking
the pots and pans.
Yeah, like ding ding ding. Oh, look at me, mom! I can play songs. Yeah, But he sent me a track over through Facebook Messenger, and I was like, God damn, dude, what kind of equipment you use? And it's all a PC.
Yes.
He doesn't use Mac or whatever.
No, so he has like a PDS pad or like like a drum machine, like that little button that lights up. It's a square. I don't know. Yeah, because I'm not as technically savvy as he is.
I think he has electronic drum set now too.
Yeah, he bought one last year.
Yeah,
as a gift to himself.
Yeah,
because he fucking works like insanely hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, I made this drum track on this square that has light ups, and you press it. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, are you just sitting there just like, like,
yeah, like this little tiny little box.
Yeah. I don't know how he does it, but he does it, and I know he enjoys doing it. It's awesome.
So, hey man, it was awesome talking to you. Thanks for coming on the show. I know, I literally have to beg a lot of people to come on. They're like, it's stupid. I feel like I'm playing radio, just playing radio.
Dude, I love that. I mean, I missed it like when Chris and I used to do stuff.
Yeah.
They were like, he'd like bring over his MacBook, like in the box that it came in. Like he would just unpack it and pack it from it, and we'd
he never had like a case for it. It was just
it's a fucking actual computer. Yeah. And then he would like put microphones. We'd face microphones on a table in my shitty little apartment, and we'd like play radio a little bit. But yeah. I mean, I'd like to do it again for sure. Yeah. I mean, shoot the shit.
Absolutely. Well, you can. Do you have anything to plug?
No.
No? Okay. All right, cool. No. Hey, guys, thanks for listening for another shitty episode of Well, That Sucked. Thanks, guys. Be cool.